You're here because you're curious about using your cell phone on a ship with an eSIM. Will I switch to this method, and should you? Stick around and I'm going to help you make that decision. So the ongoing problem is cruisers are trying to continue how to solve for using their cell phone on a cruise ship and lower the cost without buying those expensive cruise line plans. Thank you for stopping by. And if you're new to the channel, I welcome you to subscribe. And thank you to all of my subscribers who are here again to learn a little bit more. We have already delved into how to use your cell phone on a cruise ship with the cruise lines plan. And if you missed that one, I'll post the link to that video here, and I'll also post it at the end of this video. But through that video, so many of you guys have asked me, could I use an eSIM? Will an eSIM work? Well, honestly, I didn't really know that much about eSIMs, so I had to start doing some investigating. So off I went. I did my research. I talked to the customer service representative of a certain company to learn about an eSIM card. Now, one thing that I did notice when I was doing the research, a lot of eSIMs are only covering you if you're in another country, so they're international eSIMs. But they're not going to cover you on a cruise ship. Just like when we were talking before about those ship-to-shore calls. Once you're out to sea, kind of all bets are off with the way you normally make a phone call. But this eSIM card that I found is actually different. It's not just an international eSIM card. This actually covers calls while you're at sea and in another country. They have a Cruise Plus plan. This company is actually combining plans to give you an eSIM card that you're covered while you're on your cruise ship and while you happen to pull up in port in another country. And I know you're thinking, but Barb, are you going to get one? And are you going to recommend that I get one? Will we stop paying these high prices the cruise lines charge for their internet plans and all switch over to eSIM? Well, let's see. That's why we're here. And I'm going to share with you everything that I learned. But please remember, I am not an expert. Okay? I am not an expert. I just did my research and I talked to the representatives and I asked a lot of questions. So I'm going to encourage you all to do the same thing. Do your homework after you watch this video. If there were anything, any questions that maybe I left out or there's something else that you need to know, please, you're going to jump right in and take it from there. Everyone's cell phone habits are different. So that's where you're going to have to make a determination on if this eSIM would work for you. Kind of like when you're trying to decide whether or not you should buy that deluxe drink package, right? Everybody's habits are a little bit different. So here's what we're going to go through today. We're going to talk about what is an eSIM, phone compatibility, ship compatibility. We're going to talk about the plans and the coverage areas, how to set it up, and how it works on land and sea. And then we're going to talk about the pros and cons and decide if we should do it or not, okay? Here we go. So what exactly is an eSIM? It's not like when you get a new cell phone, they give you those little teeny tiny SIM cards and you have to, use a paper clip and punch it in the side, take it out and put it in and activate it. If you had to do that, you know what I'm talking about. It's not that. It's an electronic SIM. So it's all done, via the network, the cloud. It lets you activate a mobile data plan without needing that physical SIM card. And most new phones today do come with this technology. You don't have to insert that little SIM card anymore. But this allows users to download carrier profiles so they can switch back and forth to different networks easily. Before we jump right in, we need to verify if your phone is compatible with this eSIM, because not all devices are. And some of those reasons they're not compatible are due to hardware limitations. Maybe you're using a really old phone, and please tell me you're not still using a flip phone. If you do, we need to get you up to speed. There are some carrier restrictions. So some carriers will lock devices down and they will prevent you from using eSIM functionality. For example, if you're still paying for your phone, you may come across this issue. So you need to check with your carrier to see if your phone may be locked. If you flat out bought your phone or if you've owned your phone for a long time, most likely you're not going to run into this problem. Regional variations. The ability to support eSIM can vary by region and by carrier. So most new smartphones are compatible. I'm going to show you a list. This is a current list as of making this video. So today is Sunday the 21st of July. It's my birthday month. But I'm going to show you this list of the iPhones that are available. And remember, for best user experience, please make sure that you've updated your phone to the latest iOS. Always make sure you're up to date. I'm going to also show you a list of all of your Android phones. They do offer devices outside of your phones. So if you have a cellular iPad, for example, I'm going to put the list up here for the iPads. Same situation though with making sure it's not locked up by your current provider. And again, it's a cellular iPad, not one that you just connect to via your Wi-Fi or your hotspot. You need to be on the cellular data plan for that. In addition to the cellular iPads, there are also other devices that you can use this eSIM plan for. And here's a look at those. Some of these I've never even heard of before. Planet Gemini, that must be old. Well, I guess it couldn't be old, but I've never heard of it. All right, so if you're still with me, you figured out that you don't have your locked phone, you own your phone, you looked at the phone list and you saw your phone on there. Now we have to find out if the ship that you're going to be traveling on will work. Is there coverage on the ship? Because guess what? The company that we're going to get this eSIM from had to work with that cruise line and that ship to make sure the technology was there in order for the eSIM to work. So this company has a list, and I'm going to pull it up and we're going to scroll through it, and I'm going to show you which cruise lines are available and which ships are available. Obviously, we're not going through every one today, but you'll get the idea. And if you're really interested, you'll hop on their website and you can check it out yourself. But for the most part, all the ones that we like are on here. I know somebody's going to post a comment of a ship that's not on here, but I couldn't really think of any that weren't on here. So let's take a look. If you need to pause the video as I'm scrolling through, I know sometimes I might go a little fast for some of you, and really that's just to try to keep the videos at a certain amount of time. Go ahead and pause and take notes. You know, that's not going to hurt anything. I do it all the time. If you need to go back a little bit, go back. Also remember, the list might change. So before you dive right in and purchase, just check it yourself and make sure that your ship is still listed on there or if it's been added. Okay, now that you know that your phone is compatible and your ship is on board, haha, no pun intended. Well, maybe just a little bit. What are these plans and what are the coverage areas? So here are the 3 plans that I found. You have Cruise Plus Americas Caribbean, Cruise Plus Asia Pacific, and Cruise Plus Europe. These plans are going to provide you data services while you're at sea, in port, or touring on land. In port and on land to me is the same, but that's what they told me. In port or touring on land. Okay. So if you're taking a cruise somewhere in the Caribbean, you're going to select the Caribbean option, of course. So that means you're going to be covered while you're on your cruise ship. And when you get to your port of call, let's say you're going to the Bahamas. When you get to the Bahamas and you get on land, you're going to be covered there too for data. We'll talk about all this details in a minute, but you're going to be covered for data. They do provide a list of all the countries that would be covered under the Americas and Caribbean. So just take a peek and make sure that anywhere you're going is covered. There are some things that you need to be a little aware of, and I'm going to cover those shortly, I promise. But first, let's take a look at the pricing structure, because that's what it's all about, right? We're trying to save money. I've got all 3 up here. Okay, I know you're looking at them and you're looking at them pretty quickly just to try to see these, what's the most expensive, what's the least expensive. So the good news is across the board, for now, for today, they're priced the same. You're going to purchase data access by the gigabyte and by the length of time. So as you're looking at these numbers that are up here, This is consecutive time. When your days are up, your plan is done. They do not roll over. You use it or you lose it, as they like to say. The first option is 512 megabytes. That comes in at $17.99 per day. Okay. So if you're just going in one day, there you go. If you only need your data for one day, you're covered. The next option down is 1 gig. That's $29.99 for 7 days. Okay. And the third option is 3 gigabytes. That is $59.99 for 15 days. I can't stress this enough, but please, before you start calculating and you're ready to purchase, go back in and check the prices again, because when I took some of these screenshots for you guys yesterday or the day before, they were higher actually. They were at $73.99 for 3 gig and $38.99 for 1 gig. And today, as I look at them, they are $29.99 for 1 gig and $59.99 for 3. So be mindful of these price changes. They're happening pretty quick. They must be taking a note from Royal Caribbean. This is different than how you purchase your internet plan from the cruise ship. Cruise line plans, you're purchasing them by the day or the total length of the sailing. Unless you're doing a prorated situation, we're not going to talk about that. Most of us do, from the time we get on the ship to the time we get off. Plus, you're purchasing a Wi-Fi access on the ship, and with this eSIM, you're purchasing data access. Both come with limitations, and one seems to scare me a little more, but more on that in a minute. Start thinking about the way you actually use your cell phone while you're on a cruise, right? Because it might not be the same as it is when you're at home. Maybe you have more time on the cruise to use your phone, or maybe you use your phone less on the cruise. We're all different. I know during the day I'm not on my cell phone that often because of my job. I am usually on a computer or I'm on a conference call of some kind. After work, I might use my cell phone more, but on a cruise ship, because I'm relaxing, I don't have all that other stuff going on with my normal job. I have time to browse. I have time to watch a movie if that's what I want to do. So think about your situation. And while you're thinking, hit that subscribe button. It's going to keep you up to date on all things cruising here at Cruise Savvy. I'd appreciate it. So we're going to talk about how to set this up, the eSIM, and then we're going to come back. And now that you've had a time to think about how much activity you're actually going to be doing on your cell phone, we're going to see what 3 gigabyte of data will give you. Is it enough? Okay, let's take a look. Setting it up. It's going to vary. Now to me, this seemed a little complicated. And if you're not tech savvy, I could see how you could easily miss a step and start using this data plan up very fast. Or you could miss a step and even get hit with those roaming charges. And I'm going to go into more detail in a second about that. But I will let you decide for yourself how complicated you think it is. Maybe it's not complicated at all to you, and good job. Now, I mentioned a girlfriend of mine that was on the last cruise. I have to teach her how to just put something on airplane mode. So I would never recommend this to her. If you know you're that person, don't do this. But stick around and just have some fun with us for a minute. If you're still with me and you're like, I'm tech savvy, Barb, I know what I'm doing. Okay, I'm going to show you what's going on here. I'm going to show you the steps that they provided. I'm not going to cover all of the steps because this video would be 2 hours long. Here, and not that it takes that long, just to cover it, it probably would. Okay, so for an Apple device, an Apple iPhone, there are multiple steps that you need to take in order to correctly set up the eSIM. I'm going to show you the main screens. Be sure to follow along, and also if you purchase this, be sure to follow their instructions and not mine, because we don't know when they update stuff, and if a process changes and instead of clicking here you click there, you want to know about it and you want it to come directly from that company, not me. I'm just here to give you an idea of what's involved and then let them give you the details. Okay, so the first step is you need to download the app from the company providing the eSIM. So go to your app store and look for that app. You're going to sign in and you're going to set up an account. Immediately upon setting up an account, they're going to ask you for credit card for billing. And they're also going to want to know right away what plan you want. So go online on their website and know what you're doing first before you do the install and start setting it up. Once the eSIM has been downloaded and installed, this is what's going to come up on your phone. You're going to get a pop-up message that says, do you want to allow this company's app to send you notifications? You have to allow it. This is required to send you information in case your data plan starts running slow. It's kind of the way they're going to be communicating with you. So you want to make sure that you're allowing the permissions, the notifications. Then you're going to get a series of additional screens that come up. You're going to basically tap through, or you're going to hit continue on the next couple screens. When the cellular setup is complete, then you're going to tap done. For default line, you're going to select primary. For iMessage and FaceTime, you're also going to select primary. You're still going to be able to use this service for iMessage and FaceTime. This just keeps the same cell phone number associated with those services. Now, if you go into settings and then cellular, you should see that new eSIM listed. The next few steps should not be done until you're ready to use that eSIM. The next few steps should not be done until you're ready to use that eSIM. Yes, I said it twice. Please highlight, star, make a note, put it on your head, whatever it takes. Because if you do it too early, you're going to be using up your plan before you even get on vacation. Because as soon as you install and you turn it on, any data that you're using is coming off of the gigabytes that you just purchased. When do I recommend doing it? I would probably do it just like I do with the other plans. As soon as I get on the ship, I would go ahead and set the rest of this up. So if you're somebody that normally gets on the ship and turns themselves on airplane mode right away, that's when you want to do this. Make sure you have the directions with you so you know what you're doing when you're on the ship. You don't want to wait till the last minute and have a mistake and then spend all day trying to get it done before you set sail. The first step is going to settings, then cellular, and tap on cellular data. You should be able to see an entry with your new eSIM. You may have even had a chance to name it as you were setting it up. So you're going to tap that entry and select your new eSIM. You're going to make sure at the bottom all cellular data switching is turned off. It's down there at the bottom. I'll highlight it for you. Make sure it is off. This is going to prevent your primary carrier, like Verizon, AT&T, Mobile One, or whoever you have. It's going to prevent them from issuing you data roaming fees. So you don't want to get charged those data roaming fees. So you don't want them pushing any data to your phone. One thing that you want to make sure that you do, and please don't forget this, is once you turn on your eSIM, you're going to scroll the rest of the way down and you're going to toggle off any of the mobile data you have for all the apps that you're not going to use while you're on the cruise ship. I'm not telling you to do it forever, just while you're on this plan. Leaving any of these on will allow data to be received for those individual apps. So I'm looking at my phone now just to give you an example. I use Facebook a lot, so I want to make sure that stays on. But I don't use Fly Delta. I didn't fly. I'm not going to need Fly Delta for anything. So Fly Delta, I can turn that one off. What would happen is if I left Fly Delta on and Delta Airlines, for whatever reason, needed to send an update to this app or send me anything for this app, that data would be pulling in and that data would count towards the gigabyte that I just purchased. I don't want that. I don't want stuff coming in to use up, my 3 gig if I bought that 3 gig plan option. Okay, so turn the things off that you're not going to use. If you're on the ship and you decide, I'm going to use this now, go back in and turn it on. It's fine. You also want to scroll the rest of the way. Let's see. I'll go all the way down and you're going to see Wi-Fi Assist, iCloud Drive, and iCloud Backup. Right now I have them all off. Just make sure they're all off. I guess I don't back anything up. I do when I'm on Wi-Fi. So those are the things you want to make sure that you turn off. And now that we got through downloading and setting up, let's talk about how it really works on a cruise ship. This is kind of the easy part now. So if you pick the Cruise Plus America and Caribbean plan on the ship, the service is going to start when you're 12 nautical miles offshore, which is about an hour after you leave port. You're going to see the cellular bars on your phone when it's active. Now, the company, because I've asked these questions, the company representative told me that once I see the bars and I know that I've connected to the eSIM, give it another 20 minutes. Okay, that made me a little nervous. What do you mean, give it another 20 minutes? He said it might be slow or something, but when you see the bars, try it. That's what I would do. When you arrive in port at one of the international locations, your connection uses the land-based towers like it does normally. So you're going to have a brief period of time when you don't have a signal, when it's transitioning from your sea coverage to your land coverage. So watch the bars, because you're going to notice your bars are going to disappear as you're coming in closer. So when you get within, maybe 12 miles, you might see your bars leaving. They might be off for a minute, or I'm not sure how long. I've never used it. But then once you get close enough in port where it's picking up the land towers again, then your bars are going to come back and your data's back on for those international locations. Will I switch over and use this type of eSIM Cruise Plus plan? Honestly, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I am not sure. Part of me wants to try it. I just want to try it for you guys so I can come back here and say it works. And it was easier than I thought. And don't worry about it. But I'm nervous I'm going to end up with a big phone bill at the end of all this. And I don't need a big phone bill right now. So I'm probably leaning towards not. And here's why, in addition to, the nervousness, there seems to be a lot of limitations and ways that I can screw it up. And if I do, then I'm paying for it, literally paying for it, right? It's no time to try something and hope you get it right. Maybe one of you guys will volunteer, or maybe we buy that one-day plan and just see. Here are the things that I'm sort of wanting to keep an eye on. For example, you can accidentally deactivate your voice line, which is like your Verizon line, if you don't set that default voice line to the eSIM plan. Obviously, and hopefully, they have a way to get it back. I don't know the answer to that question, and neither did the guy I was talking to. That's one of the things that made me a little nervous. If you didn't make sure that you allowed cellular data switching turned off, your device could now be using your primary carrier's data if the eSIM service is not available for some reason, like when you're in that range of coming into shore and being in port. If you didn't turn that cellular data switching off, then that means while you're coming out of that eSIM coverage, your phone would automatically try to connect to your Verizon, your AT&T, and then pull in data from them. And you'll get roaming data charges. Okay. There's no notification if you're running low, because I was like, okay, now what if I'm getting close to 3 gig and I'm out at sea? How am I going to know? Will I get a text notification saying, Barb, you're running low, you might want to up your data plan or add some more on or whatever? But he said, no, there's no notification. But what you can do is go into their app and you can keep track of it there. But it's manual, right? So you're just going to have to remember, maybe do it once a day at the end of the day, just to see where you are spending your data, spending your gigabytes that you bought. If you didn't check your app and you let it expire, you let it run out, and you're using data still, I wish you could answer me so I could say, what do you do? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? I'm going to tell you. What's going to happen is you may be forced to switch back over to your local cellular provider, Verizon, AT&T, Mobile One, all those good ones. So you can log back in and download another couple gigabytes if that's what you want, depending on where you are in your trip. So you got it. Doing that is going to cost you a lot, because now you are definitely getting hit with ship-to-shore charges. It would be cheaper for you to just hold off and wait until you got in port find the free Wi-Fi, and then add some more then. Don't try to add it once you get on the ship. Okay, these eSIM plans, another thing to consider is that you will not be able to make traditional phone calls or send SMS text messages. You do have options. Be sure to communicate via FaceTime and Skype or WhatsApp. Just tell the folks at home, look, if you need to get in touch with me, hit me up on FaceTime, Skype, or WhatsApp. How you guys doing out there? You ready to hit this data? Find out how much data it's going to cost you to check an email? Because you're paying for data, you need to be mindful of how much data you use. Do you actually know how much data you use daily? You know you can check that on your cell phone. Grab your phone. And if you go under settings, it might be different for an Android. I'm on an iPhone, but I know you know your way around your phone. Go under cellular. And for me, if I go about halfway down, I'm going to see cellular data and current period. Now, the current period data usage doesn't correspond to your most recent billing cycle. So you have to reset it to 0 and start with a specific date to get an accurate picture of how many gigabytes that you're using in a day, in a month, or in a week, because you want to try to figure that out. So I did it the other day. I reset mine at 1 p.m. on July 18th when I was testing this. And I have used 206 megabytes. So I'm surprised actually. I figured I'd already been through 3 gig. I guess I wasn't using my phone that much. So that's how you're gonna know. So try it, reset it, every day, check it and see where you are. While you're doing that and looking at your phone, let's see what 3 gig looks like. These are just estimates, and they're showing how many hours of each activity you can do with 3 gig. Not a combination, just each. Then you can figure out how to do your combinations based on your usage. So let's say I listen to music for 20 hours on my trip. That is 3 gigabytes of data. Netflix is a killer. 1 hour of Netflix is gonna take up your entire 3 gig. You won't even get through a movie unless you're on SD, maybe on SD, but you're not getting through anything on high def, trust me. If you're gonna watch movies on your trip, just download them onto your phone before you leave, so you don't need to use your data for that. 3 gigabytes of data is gonna give you about 19 to 33 hours of social media content. Just stay away from the video content. Like the text content, okay. Don't be watching all the videos. That's what's gonna kill you guys. Skype, if you're only gonna use Skype, you got 11 hours for 3 gig. FaceTime, 16 hours. Okay. Take a look at the list. You can also Google it and look for yourself. I'm sure there are other lists out there. There are a lot of data calculators. So go and just Google data calculator online, and it'll let you pick the things that you do and how long you do them for, and then it's going to tell you how much data you need, or it's going to give you a pretty good estimate. Let me give you guys some ways to limit your data usage that wouldn't require you from avoiding your favorite things. It'll just help limit some things. So when you do get in port, instead of using that international, plan that you just purchased, connect to a free Wi-Fi if you want. Consider using that. Use your VPN to prevent unauthorized access, and try to use Wi-Fi whenever you can, because that'll eliminate your using your data. Also, some phones have data saving mode. So, we talked about going in and turning off all those apps that you're not using. If you have a data saving mode feature, go ahead and turn that on. That'll help. You can use a data compression app to reduce the size of your web pages and your images. You can disable data roaming to avoid automatically using foreign networks. And when you go on airplane mode, you're not using data. So here's, I thought about that one. I'm like, but I'm getting a data plan. If I put myself on airplane mode, I take myself off a date, I'm eliminating data. Do it at night. When you all go to bed, just put yourself in airplane mode. It stops all data. So any apps that you might have left open or email or anything that's going to be coming in, text messages that you might be receiving and that type of thing, it'll hold them until you turn them back on. So it's not going to be pulling them in all night long. Or when you get to the port and you're going to use Wi-Fi, turn the airplane mode on. So you're still not in the background pulling in data. Okay. So I'm curious. I want to hear your opinions. I know it was a lot, right? You might have to go back through twice. Trust me, I went through this probably for 5 days before it started making sense in some of this. I think that even though the cruise line's internet plans are costly, to me, my opinion, at least you know when you put your cell phone airplane mode, you've got unlimited Wi-Fi for the length of your sailing, and you're not going to run out of that. So maybe for me, I like security, and I have security in that understanding how that cruise ship plan works. And it doesn't require me any monitoring or crazy setups. The eSIM plans do provide you with that international coverage at port, where the cruise ship doesn't, unless you're going to Coco Cay. But again, you can find Wi-Fi, visit a Wi-Fi cafe. Who knows? Maybe I'll try it, like I said, on this next cruise, and I'll definitely let you know how it works out. Please do the same. And I'm sure you've noticed by now that I did not give you the name of this eSIM company. And I did that because I'm not here to promote a telecom company. Okay? I'm only here to help you guys out so you have a better understanding and to share the information that I have. And you can Google this company yourself. So if you type in Cruise Plus Land eSIM data, you're going to have no problem at all finding the company that I've been speaking about this entire time. Okay? I just can't give you the name of the company for that reason. I am sure we've got some really tech-savvy people out there amongst us. You probably looking at me like, you're crazy, lady. This is so easy. And if you are that person, try this and report back to us. If you're not the tech-savvy person and you still want to try it, I'm not stopping you. Go try it. See how it works out for you. Just make sure that you're purchasing the eSIM card that has Cruise Plus International, not the plain international eSIM, or you're not going to be on the right thing and you're going to get the roaming charges. We don't want the roaming charges. Maybe someday somebody will come up with something where we don't have to worry about any of this and we can just use our phone like we do while we're at home. If you've learned anything today, or if this was helpful, please subscribe and turn on your notification bells so you'll stay up to date with any cruise content coming from Cruise Savvy. My channel is growing fast, and I want to thank you guys who've been here from the beginning. I know some of you have been here from the beginning. I'm glad to have you here, and I want all of you to be part of it. Share my videos with your friends or family. Anybody you know that likes cruising, please share it. And I want to wish you all a happy and safe journey if you're currently out on a cruise somewhere. I'm a little jealous. And if you're not on a cruise, we're going to get on there soon. Don't you worry. But if you are, happy sailing.